In today's news video, we cover Patriarch Kirill delivers chilling nuclear threat to West. Any desire to destroy Russia will mean the end of the world. Chinese President Xi Jinping orders troops to be ready for combat along India-China border. Russian air defense systems installed near Kremlin, sparking fears of escalating tensions with Ukraine. Enjoy watching and don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss out on important news. Patriarch Kirill, the head of the Russian Orthodox Church, delivered a sermon marking Orthodox Epiphany in Moscow this week. He spoke to those who wish to defeat Russia, using the occasion to deliver a threat to the West. We pray that the Lord admonish those madmen and help them to understand that any desire to destroy Russia will mean the end of the world. Russia's top propagandists, from former President of Russia Dmitry Medvedev to state TV host Vladimir Solovyov, have been spreading the same not-so-subtle nuclear threat far and wide, and yet, Putin's mouthpieces are now worried that the boy who cried wolf routine is no longer being taken seriously by their target audience in the West. The dilemma manifested during a live broadcast of the evening with Vladimir Solovyov. After the lineup of talking heads took turns reiterating that Russia's defeat would mean the end of the world, their agitprop was suddenly deflated by Yevgeny Sadanovsky, president of the Institute of the Middle East. First of all, our main enemy is certainly the United States. What does the U.S. react to? They react to two things: the threat of physical annihilation and the liquidation of a certain number of military personnel. What we know based on wars in Vietnam and Korea is that several tens of thousands of annihilated American servicemen will cause the public opinion in the U.S. to be severely strained. I will repeat, not several thousand, like in Afghanistan or Iraq, but a certain number of tens of thousands. Who will liquidate them, where they will be liquidated, and in what way is completely irrelevant, but this is one of the objectives if we want to influence the American leadership. We have absolutely nothing to lose. Head of RT Margarita Simonyan described the mood in the country. In every home, in every kitchen and living room, in every courtyard, all conversations are only about what will happen next, how it will all end. I don't see any possible course of events except for the following. First of all, they will not stop. I'm not talking about Ukraine or Zelensky, she is talking about the West. They will keep raising the stakes to the point that it will cause us pain. Safety of the territory of the Russian Federation will be at issue, not just the newly added territories. I don't doubt that they will do all that they can so that we have to be concerned about the safety of Moscow, or at least seriously thinking about it. Chinese President Xi Jinping on Wednesday evening held a rare conversation via video with People's Liberation Army, PLA, soldiers stationed along the India-China border, state media in Beijing reported on Thursday. Speaking from the PLA headquarters in the capital, Xi addressed troops at a border defense station in Kunjarab under the Xinjiang Military Command and inspected their combat readiness. The Xinjiang Border Command was the only PLA Army command Xi was shown speaking to. He also addressed a Chinese Navy formation and an Air Force brigade and ordered them to remain alert and be ready for combat. State media reported Xi had asked the border troops about their border patrol and management work and hailed the soldiers as models of border defense and encouraged them to persist in their efforts and make new contributions. China is building a new dam in Tibet on a tributary of the Ganga, close to the border trijunction with India and Nepal, which could be used to control the flow of water downstream, new satellite imagery reveals. Earlier, China unveiled plans to build a super dam close to the LAC in Tibet on the lower reaches of the Yarlung-Zangbo River, which flows into Arunachal Pradesh as the Shang and then to Assam as the Brahmaputra. Satellite imagery has also shown that China has developed villages and military and dual-use infrastructure in the eastern and western sectors of the LAC. Satellite images tweeted by Damian Simon, a geospatial intelligence researcher at Intel Lab, showed Chinese Earth development and dam construction activity conducted on the Mabjazangwa River in Burang County of Tibet since May 2021. Reports that air defense systems had been installed on top of two Moscow buildings, each located in close proximity to the Kremlin, hints of heightened tensions in Russia's war with Ukraine. Multiple outlets, including Newsweek, the Moscow Times, and Defense Blog, a media outlet that provides news for the military community here and abroad, published photographs and videos on Thursday showing Russian Pantsir S-1 air defense systems on top of the Russian Ministry of Defense and another central Moscow building. Both are located in close proximity to the Kremlin, according to the reports. The photos below allegedly show that an S-400 air defense system has been reportedly deployed close to residential areas. Are the Russians expecting Ukraine to carry out a long-range airstrike on their capital city? A Ukrainian attack on Moscow with NATO-donated equipment would be a major escalation in the war, and there is no telling how Russia would react. Russian President Vladimir Putin would likely treat such an attack as having come from NATO itself and would respond accordingly. On the other hand, the installation of the air defense systems could just be good, old-fashioned Russian propaganda intended to generate fear and anger toward the West among its citizens. Whatever Moscow's reason for deploying the equipment, it highlights the fine line between NATO's support for the Ukrainian people and NATO members' involvement as actual belligerents in the war. According to Reuters, in an early January interview with Moscow newspaper Argumentii Fakti, Russian Security Council Secretary Nikolai Patrushev, a close Putin ally, said, "The events in Ukraine are not a clash between Moscow and Kiev. This is a military confrontation between Russia and NATO, and above all the United States and Britain." Patrushev added, "The Westerners' plans are to continue to pull Russia apart and eventually just erase it from the political map of the world." Reuters reported that when Kremlin spokesman Dmitry Peskov was asked to comment on Patrushev's remarks, he said he considers NATO and the US to be part of the conflict. De facto, they have already become an indirect party to this conflict, pumping Ukraine with weapons, technologies, intelligence information, and so on. No one should be surprised by this. NATO, and the US in particular, are deeply invested in a Ukrainian victory. And this is where one of the trickier problems of NATO aid comes into play. It seems to me that Peskov is right. We crossed the line from simply providing aid to Ukraine to becoming a party to the conflict. And now we have to see it through.